Welcome to The Needle, your Division I college basketball podcast. I'm Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. On this podcast, we present to you weekly conversations on D1 college basketball coaches and their teams. Don't forget to go right now on your computer, phone, or tablet and follow us on Twitter. This episode of The Needle is brought to you by D1CoachCorner.com, your source for Division I college basketball coaches. Thank you for tuning into our 31st episode of The Needle. Again, my name is Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. D1 Coach Corner is the number one source for college basketball preseason predictions and college basketball coach evaluations. The Needle College Basketball Podcast will bring to you 52 weeks of college basketball talk on topics dealing with Division I college basketball coaches and their teams. In this episode of The Needle, we'll be ranking the ACC for the 2019-2020 season, and then we will get into some college basketball news and our new Coach Impact segment of the show, which will highlight coaches who have recently taken over a team and has positively impacted that team as a result of him being there. If you like our show, go subscribe to our iTunes and YouTube channels. Let us continue to be your number one source for preseason college basketball predictions and coach evaluations. As a disclaimer, some teams are still in the midst of building and still have scholarships available left to fill. With that said, we may more than likely have to do an update before the start of the 2019-20 season, and some rankings may change. What a busy July this has been for me. Family vacations, camps, AAU, and a bunch of other things. But we are here, and thankfully, we are on our 31st episode. Now, the ACC has 15 schools, so it takes some time to assess the conference. I tell you what, I think this is Louisville's year. Coach Mack did a wonderful job last season with the team he had. Louisville finished in the 7th place of the ACC and in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I didn't expect them to do that, but Coach Mack has a very good roster this year. To me, this team has the opportunity to go very far in the NCAA tournament. Now, North Carolina has rebuilt their roster and should do fine in the ACC also. Can NC State finally live up to the expectations? NC State finished in the quarterfinal of the NIT last season. The question is, can they get into the NCAA tournament in 2020? Will Coach Bennett work his magic again this season and lead his Virginia team back to the ACC? We'll find out. With that said, here's how we rank the ACC for the 2019-2020 season. Coming in at number 1 are the Louisville Cardinals. This Louisville team is deep. On paper, this is one of the best basketball rosters in college basketball. Louisville is getting back 3 starters from the team that finished in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Dwayne Sutton and Jordan Nwora were the team's top scorers in 2018-2019. They will also get back Stephen Enoch, who played in 34 games and started in 14 last season. Darius Perry, who played in 33 games and started in 11, and Ryan McMahon, who played in 34 games. Each of these players attributed more than 5 points per game last season. On top of that, Louisville will be adding the nation's 11th best recruiting class to the roster, which includes graduate transfer Lamar Kimball from St. Joseph's. Kimball was St. Joseph's best scorer in his final season there. They will also be adding top 25 freshman Samuel Williamson, who can score in bunches and can defend. This Louisville team has a chance to go all the way in the NCAA tournament in 2020. My projected starting 5 for this team is Lamar Kimball, Samuel Williamson, Dwayne Sutton, Jordan Nwora, and Malik Williams. Coming in at number 2 are the North Carolina Tar Heels. Several North Carolina players from the 2018-2019 season have been lost to either graduation or to the pros. But it doesn't matter because North Carolina has added the 2nd best recruiting class in the ACC and the 8th best recruiting class in the nation according to 247sports.com. Top 10 recruit Cole Anthony is a quick point guard who can see the floor and is explosive going to the rim. He is also a great defender. He'll be playing alongside Armando Bacon, a big man who can protect the rim. Expect this team to do much better defensively than they did in 2018 and 2019. My projected starting 5 of this team is Cole Anthony, Justin Pierce, Christian Keeling, Garrison Brooks, and Armando Bacon. Coming in at number 3 are the Duke Blue Devils. Like Kentucky, Duke reloaded by adding some of the top freshman recruits in the country. Last season, Duke had one of the best high school recruiting class in the history of Division I college basketball. This year comes very close. Duke will bring in the 4th best recruiting class in the nation and the number 1 recruiting class in the ACC. Top 10 in the nation recruit Vernon Carey Jr. is a beast. He can run the floor as a big man, he could shoot, and is a very good rim protector. Top 10 recruit Matthew Hurt is also a big man that could do all of these things. This kid will also shoot your lights out. Top 25 freshman Wendell Moore likes to bully his way to the rim. Point guard Trey Jones is going to be returning for his sophomore year. Expect this Duke team to stay competitive in the ACC. My projected starting 5 for this team is Trey Jones, Cassius Stanley, Matthew Hurt, Jack White, and Vernon Carey. Coming in at number 4 are the North Carolina State WOLFPACK, with several key players returning, which includes 2 out of the top 3 scorers from the 2018-2019 season, Mikael Johnson and CJ Bryce. This team will remain a viable offensive threat in the ACC. My projected starting 5 for this team is Markel Johnson, CJ Bryce, Braxton Beverly, Pat Andre, and DJ Funderburk. Coming in at number 5 are the Virginia Cavaliers. This NCAA championship team has lost a lot of key players in 2019 to either the pros or to graduation. DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Guy, and Ty Jerome all went pro. All 3 players were the top point producers for this team, but this is a defensive-minded team, and Coach Tony Bennett seems to get his team to the top of the ACC despite the fact that they don't have players who could score in bunches. A team that can hold an opponent to 56.6 points per game on average doesn't need a bunch of players who can score in bunches. Expect Virginia to compete for the top of the ACC as usual. My projected starting 5 for this team is Kihei Clark, Tomas Wodelinse, Braxton Key, Kadeem Shedrick, and Mamadi Diakite. Coming in at number 6 are the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State will get back 2 starters from their 2019 Sweet 16 team. Mfiondu Kabango and Terrence Mann are gone. But fortunately, Florida State will reload with top 25 star Patrick Williams. He's an All-American who can defend and shoot very well. This team is strong enough from top to bottom to make a push deep into the NCAA tournament in 2020. My projected starting 5 for this team is Trent Forrest, MJ Walker, Patrick Williams, Malik Osborne, and Dominic Olenishak. Coming in at number 7 are the Boston College Eagles. Winston Tabb should be back and healthy in 2019-2020. Tabb should be joined by 3 other frequent starters from the 2018-2019 season, and Nick Popovic, Jared Hamilton, and Stephon Mitchell. However, let's hope that this team can find a way to put more points on the board and play better defense. And hopefully, with UCS graduate transfer Derek Thornton on the roster, this team could move the ball much better, which should improve scoring in the end. Now, my projected starting 5 for this team is Derek Thornton, Winston Tabbs, Jared Hamilton, Stephon Mitchell, and Nick Popovic. At number 8, we have the Miami Hurricanes. Top freshman Harlan Beverly should be fun to watch. He's a scoring machine, and Miami is going to need his scoring abilities. They are also going to need the skills of top 100 guard Isaiah Wong, who is not shy of going to the basket and making buckets. Miami is a team that had major problems moving the ball and scoring the ball last season. The one problem that I have for this team is Miami has a pretty good point guard and shooting guard returning, but they need help in the front court. My projected starting 5 for this team is Chris Likes, Dejan Vasvilovic, Cameron McGusty, Sam Wardenberg, and Rotley Miller Jr. Coming in at number 9 are the Pittsburgh Panthers. Pittsburgh will be getting back 4 frequent starters from the 2018-2019 season in Xavier Johnson, Trey McCowans, Odise Tony, and King Chiwukwa. With the 4 on the roster, this team should remain pretty good defensively. Pittsburgh held their opponents to an average 68.7 points per game last season. Not bad, but in order for this team to remain somewhere in the middle of the ACC, they're going to need to put up a few more points on the board. Pittsburgh was ranked only 10th in the ACC in offensive scoring last season, averaging only 69.9 points per game. With chemistry improving, this team should do well in 2019-2020. My projected starting 5 for this team is Xavier Johnson, Trey McGowans, Odise Tony, King Chukwuka, and Eric Hamilton. Coming in at number 10 are the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech is also a team with several key players returning. But what good is it going to do to have several key players returning that has problem scoring? Georgia Tech ranked 326th in the nation and 15th in the ACC in scoring last season. Georgia Tech also had a negative 1.2 scoring margin. They were stopping the ball but couldn't capitalize on it. With chemistry improving this coming season, this team should do much better than the previous season. My projected starting five is Jose Alvarado, Michael DeVoe, Khalid Moore, Moses Wright, and James Banks III. Coming in at number 11 are the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This Notre Dame team was very young last season and was bitten by the injury bug. As a result, Notre Dame finished in last place in the ACC for the first time in several years. As they say, the good thing about freshmen is that they will one day become sophomores. However, this team should be led by three senior players, TJ Gibbs, John Mooney, and grad student Rex Pfluger. Let's just hope that Notre Dame can find a way to put more points on the boards. Notre Dame had a negative 0.3 scoring margin last season. Getting to the top of the ACC may still remain an uphill battle for this team. My projected starting five is TJ Gibbs, Prentice Hub, Rex Pfluger, Nate Lazuski, and John Mooney. Coming in at number 12 are the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Wake Forest will return two out of the top three scorers from the 2018-2019 team in Brandon Childress and Shondae Brown. However, Wake Forest had one of the worst scoring offenses in the ACC last season. They were also one of the worst ball movement teams in the nation. Judging from this roster, nothing much changes for this team. If Wake Forest finishes at the bottom of the ACC in 2019-2020, Coach Danny Manning may find himself on the hot seat watch list in 2020. My projected starting five of this team is Brandon Childress, Shondae Brown, Sharon Wright Jr., Isaiah Musius, and Olivier Sarr. Coming in at number 13 are the Clemson Tigers. Clemson has lost its top three scorers to graduation. The question I have for this team is there anyone on this roster who could take over a game when the game is on the line? There is not one player on this roster who has averaged double digits in scoring. Even with Alabama's transfer Tevin Mack and Tulsa's transfer Karan Scott, the road to the top of the ACC is an uphill battle for this team. My projected starting five is Al-Amir Dawes, Karan Scott, Chase Hunter, Tevin Mack, and Amir Sims. And at number 14 are the Virginia Tech Hokies. This is a team with way too many new faces. Virginia Tech has a new coach in Mike Young, who is a very good coach, by the way. He was a four-time SoCon Coach of the Year in 2010, 2014, 2015, 2019 while coaching at Wofford. He had just recently led Wofford to the NCAA tournament before his departure to Virginia Tech. However, he won't have the personnel to push his way to the top of the ACC this season. Virginia Tech will have several starters missing from the 2018-2019 season. On top of that, they are a very small team. The good news is that point guard Wabisa Bede, shooting guard Isaiah Wilkins, and PJ Horn will be returning. Each of these players contributed great minutes to the team and has started in at least one game in 2018-2019. The road to the top of the ACC may be an uphill battle for this team. My projected starting five is Jalen Cone, Wabisa Bede, Isaiah Wilkins, Brandon Johnson, and PJ Horn. And finally, at number 15 are the Syracuse Orange. With so many starters gone from this roster, Syracuse is going to have to rely on several support players from the 2018-2019 season to step up and play bigger roles. That includes Jalen Carey, Buddy Boeheim, Marique Doliza, and Baroma Sadib. With increased minutes from each of these players, Syracuse could still remain competitive in the ACC. My projected starting five for this team is Jalen Carey, Elijah Hughes, Buddy Boeheim, Merrick Doliza, and Baroma Sadib. And so much for that. Now for some college basketball news.
Kentucky's athletic director Mitch Bernhardt has been selected to lead the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee. The NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee is responsible for selecting, seeding, and bracketing schools each year for the NCAA tournament. Coach Dennis Felton was fired from Cleveland State just after 2 seasons with the team. Cleveland State was 22-44 under the leadership of Coach Felton. Michigan has hired Jay Smith as Director of Player Personnel and Development. Coach Howard also retained Director of Basketball Operations Chris Hunter and hired video analyst David Messendorf. B.J. Elder returns to Georgia Tech to take the position as Associate Director of Player Personnel. Now on to our New Coach Impact segment. In this New Coach Impact segment, we'll be discussing coaches who have been head coach of a particular Division I basketball team for no more than 5 years and who are on the upward trend towards taking that team